Good morning. Switching up again. Going a different direction, as it were, from yesterday. Yesterday was a good one. Simple yet complex. Layers within layers, as it were. This one's a real surface level one. Swinging for low hanging fruit this morning. So, we're going to talk about insanity. Insanity. We're going to pull that word apart. We're going to talk about it from a psychologist's point of view. From what I've studied, anyway. It doesn't mean I'm any kind of graduate in psychology or I have a degree anywhere. Don't feel like I'm giving you a professional free advice. This is all just stuff I've read and learned from life experience. But insanity. I heard a phrase once, blew my mind. Let's talk about it. The definition of insanity itself. I think it's important that you understand what the word means. For all words, not just insanity, but this one's real easy to see. I'm going to show it to you. And I'm sure you heard this before, so you're going to think it's very cliche, but that's okay. That's the whole reason of the video, is because you're stuck in a cliche lack mindset when it comes to this word. It's just my opinion. Remember, this is my philosophy page. You're welcome to argue with me. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's insanity. That's the definition of insanity. To be insane. Now, when you think insane, you think psychological disorders, autism, psychosis, all kinds of things. There's all kinds of things that in your brain can be wired wrong or wired differently, which it's really weird. I'm talking about how much we understand of the brain. No one's ever explained how that works, how you just are born differently with those different connectors. There's like there's science. Anyway, you keep doing what you've always done. And then you're upset because your life looks like it does. It hasn't changed at all. There's been no change. To me, it doesn't mean that something in your brain is wired wrong. In fact, evolution states that things change over time, just biology. And our brains, as we keep going through history and more history and more history, we keep pushing back how far human beings have existed in this world. We're like 325,000 years ago or something. That's where we're at. It's a real number. So the idea that our brains could develop further based on new input could only happen if we were gaining new input. For that reaction of evolution in our mind, there would have to be enough knowledge to be gained to cause that to happen. Working theory. There's always something that causes an evolution, as it were. Always. Nicotine. Nicotine was developed in plants to kill the insects that were eating it. Now we smoke it. I'm a cigarette smoker. But evolution happens when knowledge that something needs to change exists. The only way to know that is for enough people or one person enough times or a thought process continuing until it becomes a loop. And it only takes one person not in the loop to say it's a loop for everybody else to see it's a loop. And it's psychology. It's why we're constantly trying to understand ourselves. So going insane isn't measured by neuroscience. It's a preset condition that you have no control over, just like your heart beats and your blood flows and your lungs breathe and your eyes blink, and there's a whole bunch of things. So, what's insanity if we can't tie it into neuroscience? Insanity is doing an action over and over again and thinking you'll get a different result. And as soon as you cut anything out of it other than that loop, those words themselves, that sentence that shows you that something in your life isn't working. So, what if we changed insanity to a thought process that allows us to see where we can change things? What if you lean into being insane? What if you lean into it until you break it? See, that's the crux of this. Is I can do something over and over again and get no different results. And then one day I'm fed up and someone shows me how to do it differently, or I just learn how to do it differently, or I just decide, fuck this whole project. I have to realize I'm being insane before I can change my action. And I've talked extensively on this page about it. You take 61 days. That's it. 61 days. I don't know how you guys look at time or how you flow through time or what's important to you, but 61 days is nothing. It's nothing. 61 days to control one action that you automatically, instinctively do based on you not understanding that you're being insane. So, since we're on this low hanging fruit, can you guys come up with anything that you consider automatically goes in the insane pile? Can you point out actions of other people, places, and things that you consider insane? Bet you can. That's what's fun about thoughts. Thoughts aren't hard to predict because you open up an arena and let people think whatever they want. It's not controlling the narrative. I don't want to control the narrative. I just want you to think. That's it. That's all that matters. Thinking. And I came to the conclusion through thought that I'm not insane. I rationalized it out. So, what happens when you realize you're not insane? Because none of you are insane unless you actually have those bridges in your brain that lead to these different. Some people can't even feel emotions. There are real serial killers. These are things. But if you don't have that wiring in your brain, and here's what's the craziest part in psychopaths, even if they have the wiring, there's only a percentage of those that have the wiring that turn it on somehow. I've literally been reading studies of people that get healthy, successful people, and maybe they're secretly terrible. I don't know. Take all the things and like just a good person, you know, they don't bother nobody, but they're a psychopath. According to our neuroscience, they're a fucking psycho and they should have been locked up as soon as they found that out. So insanity can't even be nailed down. Isn't it insane we have an imperfect system to define and treat insanity? Do you find that a little weird? I do. I find it really weird. I don't know where you're at. I find it really weird. But changing something, anything, understanding that you're going in a circle and you're not getting anywhere. Excuse me. I think anybody can do this. In fact, there's not a single mindset, philosophy, mantra, self help tool, psychology, everything on this page, period, is just to get you to think. I'm not a doctor of the mind. I understand that the mind is God. And I don't talk about God the way you guys talk about God. I know it. And I don't have faith the way any of you have faith. I promise I don't. You could say the only thing I have faith in is who I am as a human being. No one in my lifetime so far has taken the time it would require to get to know me and me to get to know them think differently. Just I don't base anything on instant gratification or need. So to be friends with something requires a lot more than one of those basic things. And then if you're my friend, I love you. Like you're my family, and that's it. There's only two sides to it. I don't know you, or we're family. Maybe that's insane. But that's how I changed my life, is using insanity to argue with myself, as it were. This is a definition. I didn't create it. I can't find fault in the thought process. I completely agree with everything in the definition. It's one of the few words where I agree. And it's an amazing self help tool to me. You know, seems really simple to grasp from a clear state of mind. Don't do things that suck. It's weird, right? I told you I was swinging for low hanging fruit this morning. I really felt it was important. I wanted to see how long a video I could just make on this and talk about it, because, like, I have a lot of people that I've known over the years, amazing human beings, but they're insane. They have that one thing, and that defines them. And by that defining them, they act insane. They do things that, like, I bet even they go, what the fuck did I do that for? I'm an idiot. Because this idea that you got it together, that you're healed, that you're happy, we all know none of us think that. We're struggling. This is life. I can be happy every day and be sad and be angry and go through 12 other emotions. At the end of the day, I still go to sleep just fine, because it was an experience I had. It wasn't something I needed to derail my life over. It was funny. I was talking to this old timer one time. We were having a real serious conversation over a game of chess. Chess, one of my favorite games. I love chess. Pinochle, too. Oh, I love Pinochle. Woo. We were playing chess. And I've only had 3 people in my life that I couldn't beat at chess. My entire life. And I ain't played all the grandmasters and got into the... So, take that with a grain of salt. But human just met him, and I've been in a lot of places and played a lot of games of chess. 3 people. 3 fucking people. I just, no matter what I did, they beat my ass. And I'm playing this guy. I can't beat him to save my life. And I know why. It's because he's waiting for the opening moves, and he's counting on me not understanding the counter to my first move after he makes his first move. And I was struggling because this guy was really smart, and it was like being tongue-tied trying to talk. I'm never tongue-tied. I could talk. But I just couldn't play chess against this guy. He just had that fucking energy. And then he said something that broke the spell. He talked about insanity. He taught me a lesson playing chess he didn't even realize, and it was amazing. We were talking about other people and a situation going on in the world. Just randomly talking. And he was expressing that he thought it was completely insane the the way people are acting. He asked me, do you agree with me that people are being insane? I smiled and said, sure. But what I wanted to tell him is he was a physical representation of insanity, and him himself had done everything exactly the same way. And the results that he had gotten in his life based on the insanity of his own fucking mindset, yeah, he's a genius, but he is fucking insane. So then he set up some chess problems. And once he set up some chess problems, and I realized that he had a point to everything that he was doing, I made a point. And I gained favor on the board. And then I let it go. I lost. But I showed him that the way that he was doing it, I don't even know if he understood it, because he is super intelligent and probably overlooks the real basic ones because he's so high thinking. I'll give him all the respect. He missed the point that I was making, that he was insane. And just like everything else he did in his life, he meticulously played chess a certain way and couldn't see outside of the parameters, even though he'd memorized all the moves, even though he'd memorized all the different techniques, even though he'd probably watched thousands of hours of chess just trying to figure out that one little fucking move that changed the dynamics of how the rest of the pieces must play. The man played chess from the very beginning to the very end as the first piece was moved. But he insanely thought that he'd done enough study to be the grandmaster. And he had his shit handed to him by a kid with a tattoo on his face. I bet he's ranked top fucking 100 in the world. And I didn't beat him, but I could have. It was an interesting experience. And that's my point, is you can be as informed as you want about a subject. But if somebody comes along and tells you, hey, look at this, and you can objectively look at it, and you realize just by changing that one little thing, you're doing everything differently now, then you can expect different results. Are they good or bad? I don't fucking know. That's a you problem. Are they going to work? Who knows? But if you didn't try, you're just being insane. If you're not willing to switch this up, you're insane. If you're not willing to try something to better some part of your life, you're fucking insane. To not live in love, I think you're insane. To not treat the entire world as an absolute playground that you can do whatever you want. And so you decide that you want to build toys for other kids or whatever it is. If you don't understand the parable that I'm trying to bring to the table for you, you're insane. If you can't listen to my words because they make you feel a certain way about yourself, so you want to criticize my words, you're insane. If you want to debate them, I'm open to it. I love that. That's why the page is open. That's why the conversation's open. That's why I keep it open and ask questions. I ain't perfect. I don't have all the answers. I barely got my own life figured out, and not in some way that you would consider socially acceptable, but in a way that I consider spiritually fucking balanced, which is way more important to me than possessions or monetary gain. Way more important to me. And I don't even have a religion to go pray to. You say, that's insane. Is it that I'm seeking inner peace in any way that I can find it, regardless, as long as it's truth and it doesn't hurt someone else? Does that make me insane that I'm seeking a way to live life that balances what I'm told must be and what I can see it can be, and standing right in the middle of it? Does that make me insane to want to balance imagination and creation with reality and truth? Does that make me insane that my mind can weave those together in a way that I've never heard anybody else talk about before? I don't think I'm insane. I can fully function as a human being. I understand rationality. I decide to make kind decisions instead of evil ones, and I don't act out of emotion. I act out of rationality. I feel, but I don't feel so strongly about something that I can't objectively look at it and fix it or embrace it depending on the content. I can't tell you what's insane in your life. I guarantee you could tell me what's not working. The only reason that insanity exists is because we hold fear. If you're afraid of change, if you're afraid of losing control, if you're afraid of losing things, or if you're afraid of people's opinions changing about you, you just keep being insane. So I keep attacking fear. Fear don't mean shit. Nobody makes me afraid. So time to switch things up. Time to do things differently. Time to make a change and just see where it goes. It can't be worse than where you're already at. I think that's a big part of it. Is if you can't see that your perfect knowledge makes you insane when it comes to making rational decisions about other things, I'm not going to coddle you. I'm going to say, oh, poor you. I'm not going to. I can understand your 20s, even your early 30s. Give yourself grace. Get through some things. Have some life experiences. Make some mistakes. When you're getting in your middle, late 30s, you're getting in your 40s, you're getting in your 50s, and you're still there, you're being insane. If you're still drinking every weekend, you're being insane. If you're still getting high on drugs and fucking your life off and doing all kinds of crazy shit and you're always broke, you're being insane. And it's not a me problem. So I make the videos because I feel obligated on my heart to speak about my own insanities, my own decisions that led me to finally create a balance against it. These videos are a balance against insanity and stupid things I did when I was younger. I will just be vulnerable and in love and just share it out and let it be. And I think it'll help somewhere down the line, it'll help somebody maybe. And if it does, then I did my responsibility for learning all that. Ooh. Because I also feel you're insane if you become very knowledgeable and the whole point of getting the knowledge wasn't to share it. That's why I think science is a cult. You would think that those guys would get some preachers together and some missionaries and go out and double down on we need more science because their cult's dying. Every new piece of information, every new scientific study, every new thing that disproves the old fucking versions of science, they're losing their cult, but they didn't recruit. They didn't recruit. It's a hodgepodge. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but there's so many things that I study. That's why I bring all this to the table. I come at it from a bunch of different ways. I look at it from a bunch of different perspectives and I put them together, and what I see is truth. Just because I see it as truth doesn't mean it can't be changed. But you can change your own insanity. You can decide that what you're doing isn't working, embrace fear, and do something else. And it doesn't have to be major changes, it doesn't have to be something massive, but you got to get started. Don't you want to be player one?